Hi everyone, hello. Welcome back to ETimes Lifestyle. I'm Tenzin Chudun and today we'll be joined by a very riveting personality who is a powerhouse of musical talent and an accomplished vocalist of the new generation, and that is Jashan Bhumkar. He recently released a romantic song called Topal and is famous for his previous releases like Aaj Jaaniye Ki Zid Na Karo and Rangi Sari Gulabi Chunariya. And besides that, he's equally known for his purist approach in classical music and heartwarming renditions of ghazals and abhangs. Not just that, Jashan is also a fitness enthusiast, and today we'll be asking him all about his love for music, how he went on to hone his skills, and everything around his diet and fitness regime, and more. Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jashan. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Very nice to see
Yeah.
you. And
Yeah.
my namaste and a big hello to all the lovely viewers we have also.
Yeah. It's so great to have you on board with us, and thank you so much for joining in.
My pleasure entirely.
Yeah. So, first things first, Jashan, tell us a bit about your musical journey and
Well,
how it has been for you till now.
my musical journey has been lifelong. I started it
Mm-hmm.
from as long as I can remember. Music was a part of my life. I'm
Mm-hmm.
formally training in Hindustani classical music since the age of
Right.
4 or 5, so it's been a really long time now. It's always been part of
Right.
me. And most of my career as a performing artist has been in the classical and Indian music space. That's what I'm
Mm-hmm.
most passionate about. And like you correctly mentioned, I do also sing a lot of ghazals and abhangs. That's a lifelong journey, and along the way, there are many things I try to do. I try to put my heart into it and try to connect with people by
Right.
doing various experiments. Some of them
Mm-hmm.
involve sticking to traditional music as is, and then a few other experiments involve
Right.
going completely on a different track and coming up with some
Mm-hmm.
fusion albums or commercial albums like my song Dopal or my version of Rangi Sari and things like that.
Right. So, when was it the first time that you realized you wanted to get into the music profession?
So I always knew it's part of me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so there was no, of course, my family has been a huge support, but there was no
Mm-hmm.
singer or anything in my immediate family.
Right.
So I don't know where it came to me from, and I was always drawn towards it. And more
Mm-hmm.
so, whenever it would be something to do with Indian music, I would inexplicably be
Right.
more and more attracted towards that.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept learning, and without thinking much, like it was even um, I would prefer that to
Right.
say adventurous outdoor activities and things like that. Of course, later on I got a lot into fitness, but it was
Mm-hmm.
not so much the case in my childhood and teenage years. I would be
Mm-hmm.
very happy to just be by myself and sing my heart out.
Mm-hmm.
And in my teenage years, I actually went for a classical music recital by
Mm-hmm.
Srimati Kishori Amonkar, who then later on very kindly agreed to be my guru and to train me with a lot of love. So that was a turning point because there I saw on stage something very magical, something very divine happening that I'd never experienced before, and I wanted also some of that magic to reach there. It's like when you see it's like basically how a child wants to reach the sun or the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like that, and then I started committing a lot of myself, my time and
Right.
energy to music after that turning point. And then of course there's
Mm-hmm.
been no looking back, and there's only upwards and ahead from here.
Right. So, so just addressing the elephant in the room, how was the pandemic for you? Like, what do you think musicians and other musicians, had the challenges and opportunities that it gave?
So of course, for performing artists, especially the
Mm-hmm.
ones who do so many recordings and more than that live shows,
Mm-hmm.
which I personally limit it to a certain kind of shows only.
Right.
I don't perform live every day at a lot of
Mm-hmm.
social events. But for people who do that and it's their main source of livelihood, it was a very challenging time. And often when I speak about the pandemic in a very positive way, I do realize that it comes from a very different lens and maybe a bit privileged or entitled lens even to say. So I
Mm-hmm.
fully acknowledge that. But for me, the way I looked at it is that the lockdown only caused physical restrictions. It was only
Right.
physically restrictive. There was no restriction on your mind and heart.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, though I was stuck in one place, which is home, my mind had the space and the time to wander through different places through a lot of music. So I worked on a lot of things that I would keep saying that okay, if I get a lot of time and space, many days together of Riyaz, I will work on this, I will work on that.
Right.
So I worked a lot on those things. Probably you spoke about abhang. So probably before the pandemic, I was not performing so much abhang. I was not performing so much ghazals. And today I'm maybe equally known for that as classical
Right,
music.
right.
And that whole thing happened because I got a lot of time and space to expose myself, to really get into the depths of it, which in and being based in Bombay, you know how life is so hectic here. So
Right.
it's very hard to find the time and space. So that way it was really a luxury and a blessing in disguise.
Hmm. So, do you also think that music is a form of therapy? Because for me, it is, like whether I'm exercising or going out for a walk or even simply doing the dishes, music is like magic. So,
It's
do you think the same? Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. It can
Hmm.
get you out of your out of anything. Basically,
Hmm.
music has always been. I've often said that it's always the shining light at the end of the
Hmm.
tunnel. So
Right.
that's what keeps you going. And you know, the perspective that you have of music as an artist is very
Hmm.
different from the perspective of a listener. And that
Right.
listener's perspective is absolutely priceless to keep in mind. When you're an
Hmm.
artist, you're often struggling with your art a lot of times. You're working
Hmm.
on this and working on that, working on the next musical piece. I had a performance, for example, at NCPA yesterday. I got a lot
Right.
of love for that. I'm feeling so
Hmm.
overwhelmed and so blessed about it. But a lot
Hmm.
of my mind after the performance was that, okay, what did I do wrong? Did I go wrong here? Did I go wrong that? So that is an artist's mindset. But when you look at a
Hmm.
listener, when there were people in front of me who were crying, there were people who came to me after the concert
Hmm.
with and just hugged me and was speechless. There was somebody, a very old uncle, maybe he's in the 70s or somebody. He got me dairy milk chocolates, which was very very sweet.
Okay.
So like you're saying that fit for everybody, whether you're a singer or instrumentalist or a
Hmm.
listener,
Hmm.
it means so much. And that's something which I keep reminding myself that okay, this is the effect. We are blessed with this ability to bring something so
Hmm.
beautiful to people.
Hmm.
That's what we should cherish, and we should see what best we can do with ourselves so that it can give people all the peace, all the happiness in the world.
Right. Right. So, could you tell us about any recent projects that you're working on, and maybe give us a bit of a few lines on it, like sing a few lines for your
So
fans?
there have been a
Hmm.
lot of projects. It's been very crazy July because
Right.
you know for in the pandemic I was doing mostly recordings and albums,
Hmm.
which is also a lot of fun.
Right.
But the charm of a live performance, you can't beat that, of course, with any degree of recording. So July was very hectic because there were three back-to-back live concerts, and they were absolutely intense and very steeped into classical music. Going
Hmm.
forward, there are a lot of other experimental projects that I'll be doing. Like in August,
Right.
I'm going to collaborate with a band. You'll hear more about it
Hmm.
soon, to bring some more fusion music out there. There are
Right.
also a few songs, like Indian songs, but a fusion
Hmm.
version of those that I am in the process of recording. So I'll release that also
Right.
in August.
Hmm.
And then ever since Dopal, my previous commercial song became a success, and I very hastily announced that I'm coming up with a sequel of that. It's been
Hmm.
3-4 months, so I'm under a lot of,
Right.
I mean, of course, very loving pressure to come out with the sequel. So that
Hmm.
work is also on. But
Hmm.
because I've had a month steeped in classical music, and we are speaking so
Right.
much about how classical music is so therapeutic, I'm going to sing for you two lines or
Yeah,
two,
that'd
three
be
lines of
great.
a very beautiful classical composition, and it's
Hmm.
about love and it's about the rains.
Right. Right.
हाँ, जब जब मैं यहाँ बरसे जब जब मैं यहाँ बरसे नैना तरसे उनके उमाई रे भवरो तरसे जियरा जब जब मेरा बरसे नैन का कजरा ले गयो बदरा सुन ले भवरा जो बन बिरहा जलाए जब जब मेहा बरसे नैना तरसे.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I am sure the fans loved it. So moving forward, besides being a great musician, you're also a fitness enthusiast. At least that's what your Instagram description reads.
Yes.
So yeah. So please throw some light on your diet and fitness regime.
So fitness is something like, unlike music, which I want to bring to a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. Fitness has
Mm-hmm.
not been a professional journey for me. It's just something that I do for myself, for my own physical health, and with time I've realized it's equally or more beneficial for my mental health. It keeps me sane. And like I said, music is the light at the end of a tunnel. And like I also said that as an artist, you struggle a lot with your with your
Mm-hmm.
mind and the games it plays with you. So in fitness, I found that being consistent is very rewarding, because the easiest thing you can transform is your body. And maybe your mind takes a lot
Mm-hmm.
of time to control and to transform, but like you can within a few months or at least a year, you can start seeing positive changes in your body, and that's of course motivating to
Right.
get your act together in other ways. My diet
Mm-hmm.
is so, if you spoke to me in I mean, I'm still very young. I like to believe that. But if you spoke to me in my even younger days of my teenage, I would say that, oh, my diet is grilled chicken and I'm lactose intolerant and I eat only gluten free and this and I don't touch sugar. I still try to stick to that more or less. But
Mm-hmm.
also with time, like I've been in fitness for 15 years. So 15 years, and I don't think there has even been a time where I've skipped 3 or 4 days of a workout unless I was terribly ill. So I've been very, very
Mm-hmm.
consistent, and with that, I felt that consistency is more rewarding than a lot of fads. So now
Right.
I try like 80-90% to keep it in check. Of course, I don't eat fried food that much. I don't eat
Mm-hmm.
desserts every day. I would limit it to say once in a week or once in 10 days. But I also don't deny myself the foods that I like, just to be in a certain shape
Right.
and a certain fitness level. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's about my diet. Like it's pretty
Right.
healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But who doesn't like pizza? Who doesn't like cheesecake? I'm sure you like those
Right.
things also, as you
Right.
have those.
Right.
So who can say no to
Right.
that? Yeah.
Yeah. So any fitness or weight loss myths, that popular ones that you want to bust?
Well, there are a lot of them. There are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them that are there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's very important for somebody to, and this is something which of course we all in the beginning we are lost. So
Mm-hmm.
we go ahead with what we see around us.
Mm.
Now with social media and with YouTube, there are so many fitness influencers, so much information out there which can be constructively useful. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's for you to have your own journey first and figure out and filter the information, that okay, what is good uh,
Right.
and what is bad. There are equal
Mm-hmm.
number of people saying that okay, uh, you need to lift heavy. There are people who say that you should lift lightweight. There are people who say
Mm-hmm.
that CrossFit is the main thing to be done. There are
Mm-hmm.
people who say that CrossFit is not helpful at all.
Right.
There are practitioners of yoga. I myself do believe in Pilates and yoga a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It really, you have to figure what works for you, and stay out of fads and myths. And I think, like as with every field, classics are classics, and then there will be other
Right.
trends that come and go. So I think it's
Mm-hmm.
important to filter those things out.
Right. So besides music and fitness and everything, are there any other interests and hobbies that you like
Well,
to indulge in?
I have two careers essentially, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm a musician, which is what is mostly known to the world,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
also I'm a chemical engineer by background, and I have a
Right.
chemicals
Right.
and pharma business. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
juggle
You're.
my time between everything, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very passionate about music. It's like my breath for me, but
Mm-hmm.
I also love the chemical industry. I also
Right.
do write a lot and express a lot of my views
Mm-hmm.
on how exciting the chemicals and pharma space is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something which also gets me very excited. I'm always ready to
Right.
talk about that
So is it,
also.
yeah. So is it difficult to juggle between both? Like, how do
No,
you make
not at all,
time?
not at all. I mean, of course, at a superficial level, it is difficult, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't live without both the things. So
Right. Right.
I would say that like a lot of the life of a modern individual. I have spent 5 years
Mm-hmm.
studying abroad. Even here, hardly any of my friends were musicians, and definitely they were
Mm-hmm.
not classical musicians. I have lovely
Right.
friends in that field now, after being in it for
Mm-hmm.
so many years. But growing up, there was none of that. I would always feel that the rest of the normal life, which is your education and career, is going this way. And I had no
Mm-hmm.
problem with that. I equally enjoyed
Right.
those things. And then classical music is another thing. It's completely different. The mindset
Mm-hmm.
that you need to cultivate, the kind of dedication that you need for it is completely different. So there were many years where in practical forms I did try to struggle to make those ends meet, but I was always very hopeful and I was constructive. And even the times where I thought I would give up and I thought that okay, this is, I'm not going to be able to do music, music never left me. So I came up with ways, like even now, if the Bombay traffic is so bad, I do a lot of my riyaz in the car. That's like 3 hours a day of great riyaz. So if I'm able to manage that, then that really, I mean, I've worked around it really to. A lot of times I have this funny word for myself that I'm into boxers riyaz, because a lot of times that I'm doing riyaz, people think that you're sitting nicely in a kurta or something as a classical musician. But a lot of times I'm actually in my boxers, because I do it first thing in the morning or the last thing before I sleep. Maybe at 12 or 1 in the night I'm singing something very calmly. Everybody at home has slept. I'm just by myself. I'm in my zone. And of course I'm in boxers, so that's like so I found my ways around it to keep it alive. And like I said, like even if you leave it, music doesn't leave you. It's always in the mind, it's always in the heart. It's the way you express yourself. So it's not hard. It's not hard. And also, I'll tell you the other surprising thing that because I have been passionate about both the things. Maybe if I was somebody who hated my business and hated the professional world and said that, "Arey, this is just a way to make money and my real calling is art. I want to just do that full time," it would be very different. But if you hear me talk about my business, I have that much, I mean, almost the same amount of passion, the same amount of passion for that as well. So even when my gurus, who are legendary figures in that field, they were in their 80s when I went to them, and they had spent a whole life in classical music. Maybe if it was somebody else, they would have said that, okay, you're not in this full time, so we're not going to teach you. But they saw that I was so dedicated to both the things, and not for a day they questioned my dedication or love to music, nor my ability to work hard on it. Like I would be as prepared as a full-time musician for the next class. I would do my riyaz, I would come absolutely prepared and said, okay, let's work on this. Okay, this I was making a mistake the last time, now I worked on this. This is it. So I left no room for any or any loophole for somebody to say that okay, you're just somebody else who does something and then also sings, or vice versa, you're an artist and you're stuck in the business world. I think that would be something which with a lot of my support of the gurus, with family, with a lot of wonderful friends, it's been easy to do. But I also would like to give myself some credit for that. It was not easy. That's one thing in my, like, I turned 30 this year, and of course, being in fitness and everything, a lot of people made fun of me, saying that, oh my god, your life is over now, you're 30 now, you're going to feel old and this
Not
and that.
at all.
But I said that I'm really proud that I didn't waste my teenagers, I didn't waste my 20s, and of course I have a long way to go on all the things that I have to achieve. But I am on the right track in all of the aspects of my life. I would not have done anything differently. So that's something which I do feel good about, and I'm so happy to share with everyone today.
And that's the confidence I think all young people need at the moment.
I hope so. I hope so. That.
So to talking about that, like, do you have any parting words for all the youngsters out there, who are trying to make ends meet?
A lot of my audience is actually really young people, much younger than me, so they're like 18 to 25, and boys and girls from all over India. And they have always been sweet to me, saying that Dada, we look up. They call me, a lot of people call me Dada, like in that age. So Dada, we look up to you. You're an inspiration, things like that. I think I'm nobody to really give advice, because I look at myself as a lifelong student and I have a long way to go myself. But in everything that I've seen is that just showing up and just being consistent really pays off. And like for example, I'll show you an example. Like if I'm singing, there's a latest trending song, right? Kesariya tera ishq hai piyaar, रंग जाऊं जो मैं हाथ लगाऊं. Now you would very sweetly appreciate this because it's a skill. Of course, maybe my voice is, you like my voice, or I didn't make any mistake while singing it. But if you talk about classical music, I have been so consistent in pursuing it at a very deep level. So when I sing that, its effect is going to be very different. So if I'm singing, for example, a monsoon rag. बदरिया रे बदरिया रे. So I mean, there's a different returns that you get which you can't measure by just pursuing something relentlessly the whole time without questioning, without deviating from the path. And I think like if my only message to the youth was that there's a lot of information coming their way. If they keep their ground in that and just without distraction focus on what they really love, then they will find true joy in that. And I hope and
Right.
wish but that for them.
Right. So, well, that brings us to the end of the live chat, and it was
Thank
so
you.
amazing to have you on
My
board with
pleasure
us,
entirely. Thank you
Tenzin.
so much
Yeah.
for this
And
live. I had a
we at
great time.
ETimes, yeah, we at ETimes Lifestyle, we wish you all the best for for your future
Thank you.
endeavors.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And सबको
Yeah.
मेरा नमस्कार वापस.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.